Welcome to Your Story, brought to you by the Public Speakers Association. I'm so excited to introduce to you our guest star, Miss Terry Wildemann. She's a speaker. Oh my gosh, she's an amazing speaker, best-selling author, certified executive coach. This woman is amazing. And here she is, Miss Terry Wildemann.
Tanya, thank you for having me on. You look gorgeous. I just want to let you know that. I love doing these shows with you because you always make me smile. And what we're going to be talking about today is something that I hope will make everybody smile. Because my story is one where I didn't really realize how much up until the last couple weeks, how much I have been told no in my life. And and you and I talked about this before. Fairly recently, somebody made an observation, and I took the observation on, and I started going through a lot of things that have happened in my life from the age of 1.5, actually. And what I realized is that I've been told no a lot, an awful lot. And who of us haven't been told no a lot, actually? And the first chapter of my upcoming book is going to have a title, something like Don't Tell Me No, Tell Me Yes, and Let's Awaken the Possibilities Together. You know, in work-life balance, we often say you have to say no. However, when you do say no, you say yes to something else, and you're saying yes to yourself. So the goal with what I hope people get out of my story today of being told no all the time is that it took a long time for me to say yes to myself. And the bottom line is that I really listened to my intuition as I got older to help me get to that yes, to awaken the possibilities. When I was young, I lived in a family. My family comes from Cuba, and I'm first generation Cuban American. And my parents were raised in a very provincial, very strict environment. And I mean, my mom was chaperoned until she was 31 years old when she got married. Let me put that in perspective. Okay. Well, along comes this daughter who I was always getting myself into trouble because I was one of those kids who was super, always getting into things and always curious, which a lot of kids are. Well, I'm very different from my parents, my behavior style. And what ended up happening was I got told no all the time. And that went on into high school and college. And no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Rarely did I hear do this. Rarely did I hear do that. It was always no, you can't, no, you can't. That gets old. That really gets old. And it can really stymie you. So one of the things that I am going to share that is very, very personal is 4 doctors told me I could never have children. And I'm looking at them like, I know intuitively, I could feel it in my body that I could have children. I could feel it. And sure enough, 3 weeks after I got married, I got pregnant. Ta-da! Don't tell me no. Do not tell me no. Listen to the intuition. And what I found is, because I've so tuned into it, we are so good at saying no first, yet not following it up. It's very simple. Follow it up with a yes. What can we do? Whether it's team building, whether it's communications, no matter what it is. And I know when I went to study in college, I was also told no, especially from my teachers, because this was, I graduated from high school in 1973, so you get an idea of my age here, and I wanted to study criminal justice. Well, what Cuban daughter studies criminal justice in the late 70s? Think about that. Who does that, right? Moi. And my parents said no. And every semester I studied something different. Every single semester. Finally, along comes semester number 5, and I took my dad out to lunch. I remember that day so clearly. And I basically said, look, I've been doing it your way for 4 semesters. I'm miserable. Absolutely miserable. Can I at least try it my way? And he couldn't argue with that. I started studying criminal justice, and my grades skyrocketed. Went to various universities. There were locally there were only 2 universities that were offering criminal justice. The community college where I was already at, Villanova University, which was a 2-year program, and the director of that program basically looked at me and said, "Why do you want to do this? You're just going to be a filing clerk." Then there was a 4-year program at Westchester State University, which is where I graduated from. And I'll never forget this one former FBI person who looked at me and said, "You're never going to be an FBI agent. Why don't you give up now?" And again, and I remember thinking, really? Well, I did make it to the FBI Academy. And unfortunately, 2 weeks before graduation, I ended up failing my last exam. I had to go to a family event, and I chose family over that. And at the time, the rules were, you failed 2 exams, and you're out the door. Well, exam number 1, I failed. I had been a cocky police officer, and I thought I had it all under control. I didn't. And then I failed the last exam, which was white-collar crime. And didn't do it because I chose family first instead of studying. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It took a long time to get over that. But again, being told no, that I couldn't make it, I had to look back and say, you know what? I said yes to myself. I said yes to myself to following the career path I needed to get to the FBI Academy. It was scary. I did it. And I said yes to my family in that I chose my family over my career. Now, I'm not going to accuse you, it was hard. 24 years old, I had reached my goals. I had reached my career goals. And all of a sudden, I'm left like I felt like I was in a rowboat in the middle of the ocean, not knowing where to go. I was pointless. And it took a few years to really figure out what I wanted to do. And I was very fortunate that because I had been in business since I was 18 years old, I had a lot of experience in marketing and sales and that kind of stuff. So I ended up, on a fluke, owning a manufacturing company. And we built electrical control panels and baggage racks, and we mostly focused on the railroad industry. So what I found, though, is that industry is a man's world. I got told no a lot. I also got told yes a lot. But the way I was told no was very condescending. The way I was told no was demoralizing. And what was interesting, because I was so much younger than a lot of the people in that industry, I wasn't taken seriously. And that was the second thing that began to evolve, was not only was I being told no so much, I was also fighting I'm dealing with, I don't like to use the word fighting, I was dealing with the lack of credibility. People just didn't want to believe me. And so when you're talking about being constantly told no, and then people not believing you, it starts to feed on your subconscious. And I didn't realize how much it was. Then along came the hubster, and we got married, and I married the Navy. And that was rather interesting, marrying the Navy. And it was amazing how many times I was told no in the Navy, and I said, watch me. And I did so much to support the men and women in our commands. As much as somebody would say, well, that's not the Navy way, watch me. I'll do this. And it was fascinating how many people started to work with me, because I'm a businesswoman who became a Navy wife. And during those 3 years where I put my career on the back burner, I got told no a lot, but I also listened to my intuition, and I got those people who said no to say yes to me. And it almost became a way of life. Challenged me by saying no, and I'm going to prove to you that I can. And that's the way it's been. And what I realize is, from a leadership perspective, every time you get told no, and then you do say yes to yourself, it gives you the opportunity to look at what is around you from a 30,000-foot level and also at sea level. So if you can do both and be able to see what the possibilities are a lot of success can be created not only for yourself, but for the people who are around you. What I also realized was that all this no-telling and all this not being taken credibly affected my health in a way that I had not realized. And finally, in my late 30s, when I realized what was going on with the no and the not being believed and all that stuff, because I wasn't getting it. I got to tell you, I wasn't getting it, but I was feeling it. When all of that happened and I started going into holistically into owning my stuff and owning why I had to go through that and understanding why those specific events and things came into my life, what I realized was, wow, I have control of my health. And I stopped talking about poor health, only spoke about great health. My health is better than it's ever been in my entire life. And again, it allows me to teach and work with leaders to help them understand that their language is critical, not only for themselves, but for the people around them. And if you can't tell by now, I get a big kick out of that. I really, really enjoy helping leaders get to that place. The other piece that also happened was I began to really listen more than ever to my intuition. And when I started listening to my intuition, the way it was coming in pictures, the way it was coming in with disembodied words, the way I was feeling, and then learning that the heart itself, this amazing pump, the most powerful pump in the world, can actually sense what is going on 5 to 6 seconds before it happens. The messages then go up to the brain, then to the rest of the body, understanding that there's an organic and physiological thing that's happening with intuition. What I realized was, this is the real deal. This is real stuff. And teaching leaders how to do that, to help them overcome that, don't tell me no. When you trust that intuition and you know it's right, say to the folks who are around you, can you listen to me? Instead of telling me no, can you say yes? Let's awaken the possibilities and talk about what we can do instead of only focusing on what we can't do. And that's really my story. Learning how to use all of our skill sets, learning how to use all of these experiences, and instead of running away from them, running towards them and learn the lessons that they share with us in order for us to be more and more powerful every single day. Because the lessons that come to us, we attract them because we need to learn from those lessons. And when we learn from those lessons, it gives us the power, the flexibility, and the knowledge to help the other folks who cross our path. That's my story.